12, Everton against Manchester United. In about 3 or 4 minutes, we'll speak to Adam McCullough from the Stretford Paddock YouTube channel to get the United view, but let's get the Everton angle. We can say hello from the Toffee Blues Everton podcast to Terry McAllister. Good morning, Terry. How are you?
Hi, Tel.
Morning, lads. It's okay.
We're good, very well. Let me start off by asking, when the fixtures were announced, did you for one moment think that Everton would be in the top 4 and United would be closer to the bottom of the table than the top?
No, I've got to be honest, I didn't. We've had pretty good start to the season, a bit of a flying start, I must say, but it's tailed off a little bit since the international break, so just looking to hopefully turn it around with this game.
What has changed? Why have you tailed off a bit in your form?
I think more than anything, it's injuries. The last 2 games against Southampton and Newcastle, we've come to see that Everton have now got quite a strong first 11, but underneath that, there's plenty of bodies, plenty of numbers, but the quality just isn't there. You lose, 1 or 2 key players, it really affects the way the team perform.
Yes, and of course, Dean, you're missing as well, and you've had 1 or 2 other players that have been out. And I think you're absolutely right, Terry. Your starting 11, I think, can give anyone a game, as we've already seen this season. So it's so important that James Rodriguez does return for this game tomorrow.
Yeah, I mean, hopefully James Rodriguez missed the Newcastle game, but it was described by Ancelotti as a small injury, so he expects him to be back for this game, and that'll be huge because in the games that Everton have won at the start of the season, the whole team's been built around James. Like every single piece of play starts with him, and you can even hear the players on the pitch every time they get the ball and they're looking for an out ball. You just hear James, give it to him.
James Rodriguez has taken a lot of the headlines, and deservedly so, but also someone else which has really stepped up and really improved over the last, I would say probably the last year, is Calvert-Lewin. I've always thought there was a player in there, good in the air. Physically, you could see he had something about him. Wouldn't say he's quick enough, but this season it feels like his breakthrough year.
Yeah, I think the difference is the quality of manager he's got now. Every single manager he's had before this has looked at his physical attributes and said, run the channels, play wide in some instances, work hard, get me free kicks up the pitch, press. Whereas Ancelotti took one look at him and said, stay in the box, stay between the goalposts, just finish. Be like Felipe Inzaghi, just finish chances that other players will make for you, sorry. And that's just been the making of him. He looks like a different player now because he's being played to his strengths, which, to be honest, not a lot of people realise were his strengths.
So come on then, do you fancy this game? Because, of course, a couple of weeks ago you would have done. You might still now because United's form is so up and down and your form has tailed off a bit. So how do you see this one going?
I don't know. It's so hard because Man United, it depends which Man United turn up because they've been brilliant in some games, like away in the Champions League, or in other games like the Istanbul game, they just looked all at sea. And you don't really know what you're going to get off Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. He changes formation, he changes composition in midfield and lineups so often. It's hard to really predict. I think if we can take some of their key players, and it might not be the obvious players, if we can sit a man on Fred, for example, for the game, I think we've got a good chance because I think he makes them tick at the minute. But if he turns up and he's played with the formation again, I think I think we can win. I think it might be the end for the road for Solskjaer. He's on a bit of a downward spiral now, isn't he?
Okay, well, it's time for the big question. Terry McAllister from the Toffee Blues Everton podcast. What score will Everton lose by? Sorry, what will the score be?
I'm going to go for a 3-2 Everton win.
Wow, okay, there we go. There usually is goals, isn't there?
It's a stonking game.
Terry, listen, I hope you don't enjoy the game, because if you don't, that means you've lost. So I hope you lose. But listen, always a pleasure. Thanks so much for your time. Much appreciated here on TalkSport.
Thanks, lads. Have a good morning.
Cheers, pal. There you go, Terry McAllister. As I said, from the Toffee Blues Everton podcast, giving us the Everton angle. Let's